Hello, gorgeous Capricorn, and welcome to September 2020. I'm a fan of the energy of this month. It's a truth-bringing month. It's one that really wants us to focus in, and specifically for you all, I noticed right away when I tapped into your energy that the words focus and clarity and order all came up. Maybe you'll like the sound of that. I know I do. I like the sound of getting some clarity, getting some answers, getting some feeling of, okay, how are we going to order the way we think about the world moving forward? How are we going to order who we become, right? This month has those themes running through it. It's the equinox on the 22nd this year, as the sun moves from Virgo energy, your ninth house of your big vision, into Libra season. It's a great time for self-assessment, reassessment, getting in line with who you are now and how you want to use that energy moving forward. This is also going to be a big month because Mars retrograde. We're going to get a lot deeper into the specifics of that planet and how retrograde works over on Patreon if you're interested in deeper support. But I will say this about it, for you specifically, especially. Mars retrograde has us reassessing how we make things happen in life, where we get our drive from, right? How we want to be making things happen in life. Mars is going to be retrograde in a really intimate part of your chart. It's retrograde in fellow cardinal sign, Aries. It's going to be helping you to order your internal world, your mystical moonscape, basically. You know, the part of yourself that isn't about the external, that isn't about the show on the external, but is about how you nurture and grow on the internal and the hidden, on the part of yourself that has nothing to do with the rest of the world and everybody's opinions, right? So this is a really powerful time. We're also going to be preparing to have, Mercury is moving into pre-shadow phase in Libra, and Venus is going to be moving through 8th house in Leo. So there's a lot of energy working with you here. Finally, let's start shuffling these cards here. The moon cycle is going to be helpful for you this month. It's actually a very clarifying, supportive moon cycle. We have a full moon in Pisces on September 2nd, so that's in your 3rd house of communication, your throat chakra, being able to speak, and the new moon in Virgo on the 17th in your 9th house, big vision energy, right? And all through Virgo season as well. This is an amazing time to get clarity, to get new perspective on everything. There's one other note too. Both Jupiter and Saturn are going direct this month, throughout the course of the month. Jupiter on the 13th, Saturn on the 29th. This really heralds the last months, the last few months of both Jupiter and Saturn working with you, Capricorn. And depending on how that's hit you, some of you, this has been a great time of abundance and blessing and clarity and growth and structure and learning. Some of you, it has felt heavy, it has felt overwhelming. It really does hit differently. Whatever, though, before I pull cards, whatever has been coming up for you thematically, the next few months, starting in September and really until your season, when we hit the solstice, is about getting in order, closing out this chapter. It's like one big, symbolic, energetic, ritual closeout of what you've been learning with these planets. So you're going to be noticing circles kind of closing out, both internally and even with relationships or projects, things that you need kind of closure on and release on will be coming full circle to close out. So this is going to be a big theme you're going to notice starting in September and moving forward until it's your season. And both of those planets have moved on to Aquarius. So 9 of Swords. Got to start with the fun one right away, right? You're starting to emerge. You're starting to emerge from a deep process that, to some extent, you may have felt almost as though justice. We are heading into equinox, into Libra season, into a time, like I said, of self-assessment. I think equinox, regardless of your sign, is an amazing time to take stock, look around, incorporate, get a sense of where you are now and where you're balanced. But you know, what I was saying before, you've been in a process, and to some of you, it may be hard to even really know, Eight of Cups, what that process has been. Like, what has just happened, you know, over the last couple of years, the last few years with Saturn in your sign. And it's a big arc, right, to look back at December 2017 and think about, you know, what has transpired since then. And I think there's this sense of you emerging, of you getting deeper clarity, of you feeling like there's a little bit more order and understanding. The Hermit. We have a lot of wisdom cards here for you today. Very deep wisdom cards going on here. There's a lot of rationality actually in the cards. Hierophant. Wow. Okay, lots of major arcana as well, which is always telling, I think, when we're in the process in life. When we get a lot of major arcana, that means there's something that is being understood at a deeper level, right? And there is a lot of leadership wisdom cards going on here. This is about like elder wisdom, right? Like the deeper primordial wisdom, ancestral wisdom that we can gain. And I think that makes a lot of sense with this whole idea of focus, clarity, and order, because there's a deeper wisdom that's coming up from all this work with Saturn. Saturn is a wise energy. All this work since the last equinox in March, giving you some really strong, firm parenting, you know, deep, grand parenting wisdom at this time. We start with Nine of Swords, which makes me think, you know, if you have something that's just bothering you, know, keeping you up at night, that you're overthinking, that you're worrying about, that you're fretting about, that you feel out of control about, you know, that may start to show up here. You know, you may come into September feeling as though you have no order and clarity, or that you feel like you're very far from that part of the process. And maybe there's a specific thing that is weighing on you more than others, right? Where you're kind of waking up at 2 in the morning, or not being able to get to sleep, or it's just kind of hanging out in the background of your mind. But this is what I love about this reading. There's a really specific, clear, direct message for Capricorns this month that isn't, it's not all over the place. This is very specific. It's saying, that Nine of Swords is saying whatever it is that is like nagging on your conscious mind, nagging on your analytical, practical, get it done, willpower mind, is going to get clarified this month. And it's coming from this place of deeper wisdom. Something you already know is true. That's where justice comes in. I think if you want to talk about an antidote to the swords hanging over the head, not knowing, overanalyzing, overthinking, worrying, letting your wheels spin, right? We've all been there. Justice is the antidote to that, because she is like, here's your answer. Here's your clarity. Here's what you need to know. And I think, you know, when I think about, you know, justice is tied to Libra, justice is tied to the equinox for sure, and balancing and scales, right? And she gives us that perspective. She helps us to see something from a new vantage point, to understand it and to let it go. So whether that's quite literally somebody giving you the answer you've been waiting for, or some kind of knowing inside of yourself, there is something that's getting released here. Now there's a deal that's being made here. With that clarity comes moving on. And now this is a huge theme in September for everybody. It's coming up again and again as a message, which is, you know, Eight of Cups is about leaving behind something that no longer serves, right? It's leaving the table that's no longer serving love, and being brave enough to go forward on your path of integrity, right? And it doesn't always have to be about a breakup. It doesn't always have to be about losing a job. This can really be any kind of leaving behind of an attitude, of a mentality, of a worldview, of an energy cycle that's completed. And, you know, the Hermit is your guiding light here. Now, the Hermit is grandfather, grandmother energy. This is very earthy wisdom that comes in and says, you know what is right for you. You already know what it is that you have to put in order. You already know what it is that you need to set your sights on and choose and decide and devote to. You already know what it is deep in your bones. And that answer does not come from the Nine of Swords mental state, right? It comes from this deeper knowing, this deeper wellspring that is being represented here. The theme that comes up for September for everybody is you can't live in the past as the way that you decide how you move forward into the future. You have to, yes, use, the grandfatherly wisdom, the ancient lineage wisdom, but don't live in the past, right? But there is an invitation here for you to move forward on something. And to move forward on something maybe in ways that are a little unfamiliar for you, right? Mars retrograde in your fellow cardinal sign, asking you to heal and get intimate with yourself during this season of change and shift, is really helping you to see that you can make things happen from a really magical hidden space and not just from force, right? Hierophant is your final card here today. This card to me is so much about leadership, teaching, learning, showing up to something big. Really owning your deep power, right? Really owning this next season of life. I think Hierophant can feel almost a little overwhelming because it's asking you to step up to the next vision of who you're going to be before you fully know what that looks and feels like, before you fully understand the scope and breadth of it, right? And, Hierophant right now is really essential energy because it is tied to Taurus, and Uranus is moving through Taurus, revolutionizing how we connect to leadership, to healing, to the divine feminine, to the divine mother. And Hierophant is also tied to, getting spiritual wisdom, right? And part of what Hierophant speaks to is you have to be willing to advocate for yourself, right? You have to be willing to allow yourself to step into the role, allow yourself to receive beautiful things, allow yourself to grow into your next shape and form. And I think that's why those words, focus, clarity, and order came in. Honestly, Justice, Hermit, and Hierophant all want order. They all want clarity, and they all want things to work and function in a way that makes sense. But it's coming from something deep within that has to do with your integrity and has to do with how you have changed over the last couple of years. And that there's really no such thing as going back to, August 2017 and being that person, right? There's only this moving forward into who you become now and getting acquainted with who you are becoming now. And that deep inner wisdom, that deep, clear speaking inner wisdom is really the ticket to getting those answers. But whatever it is that needs to be cleared away or released will be obvious this September. And it won't be something that's surprising to you. This is going to be something that is probably been a long time in coming or something you've been preparing to do for a while. September is going to give you that understanding in order to take the steps that feel right for you. I have a little invocation for Mars retrograde and for the equinox, because these are both such sacred events that really help us tap into our deeper wisdom. Really important this year in 2020. So here's my invocation to you. May I trust that I can lead from my heart. May clarity grace my path and fill my body with energy. May the road open up with ease and grace. May the way that feels full of life and healing be the road I choose each and every time. I think that's an important one, especially if Eight of Cups is showing up, to choose the road that feels full of life and healing, right? And to choose the road that feels as though you are opening yourself up and releasing the tension, letting yourself be free, right? From any shackles from the past. Because once again, this is not a time to be shackled to the past self, to the past choices. This is a time to listen to that deep inner knowing and move forward with integrity into what is next. So with that being said, yes, we are heading into some retrograde season with some close planets. We were going to be having our Mars retrograde until November 13th, I believe, and we're going to have the Mercury retrograde starting in October. So we're going to be doing some review work over the next couple of months. Really, until we hit Capricorn season, there's a lot of review and there's a lot of clarifying and understanding and deep knowing. That does not preclude us from moving forward in life and getting very solid, good answers. So keep that in mind. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of deep diving on all of these topics over on Patreon. I'm going to be offering up some really great materials to work with Mars retrograde, feel empowered to work with this energy during the next couple of months. I'd love to see you over there. I'll leave my link below. You can also find me on Instagram or on my website. I'll leave all of those links for you. You can find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry on her Etsy shop. She's always got something new and beautiful there. So if you're looking for some really earthy, beautiful, loving jewelry, you can check her out. I will see you all in October for more readings and of course for our moon magics. I appreciate you so much. And I'm sending you all my love, beautiful Capricorn family.